the big challenge for us is that everybody who is using smartphone technology, they really just want the technology to be there for them, to help them in their lives. And then they want it to get out of their face. They want it to be out of the way, right? So the technology itself isn't interesting, it's what you're doing with it that's really interesting. And you could say that it's a dematerialization of technology, or a disembodiment of technology. You see many signals of this happening around us. You see it in films, you can read about it in books. For example, I mentioned William Gibson's books, where the technology is there in the background, but it's accessible as soon as you want it. This idea of interfaces that are projected on surfaces or projected in the air, the idea of heads-up displays, those are all early embodiments of sort of technology that is integrated into the environment around you. And then on the other side, this diametrically opposed desire that we have as human beings is this desire for objects that we love and cherish. And this comes from the fact that when we have tools and objects and things that we use, which are really important for us, either for our survival or for enriching our lives, like smartphones are, then we really have an innate desire to make them beautiful, have them beautiful, and cherish them as objects. So it's an objectification of the product contra a dematerialization. And then there's somewhere in between, because we can't just, make a smartphone that is totally dematerialized. It's not physically possible right now, but I don't think we would want that either. We still want that object. We still want to love and cherish that object. So by trying to find the nice balance between that, a product that looks beautiful, feels beautiful, and works really great, but at the same time gets out of your face when you want to get immersed in the content. Admittedly, we've taken a more experimental approach to the smartwatches in the early days because we weren't really sure what the technology could do for consumers, for end users. So it really is sort of like a test as we go approach, because we're not 100% sure. This isn't the kind of thing that you can go into focus groups and ask consumers, hey, what do you think of this? What are you going to do with that? Even though we do that, and study that, we take that with a large grain of salt, because many end users don't really know what this means for them. So by testing them on the market, we get a more real-life feedback on it. The other thing is that I think that when you read about the media, there's a huge amount of interest around smartwatches today. There's a bit too much focus on smartwatch, as if this is the only wearable communication device we have. I mean, we have a range of Bluetooth headsets, both over-the-ear headsets and in-the-ear and in-concha headsets that we've had all through the years. And those are Bluetooth headsets where you can see who's calling, you can initiate a call, you can make phone calls, you can listen to music, you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to FM radio. To me, that's wearable technology. And it's so integrated already into what we're using today, you don't really recognize it as wearable technology. And then adding the smartwatch as a complement to that ecosystem, because the ecosystem's already there. It's just that we're adding one more component to that ecosystem. And I think that you have to see the smartwatch in the context of some sort of Bluetooth headset and your smartphone, or your tablet for that matter. And then when you starting putting those components together, you see how you can make your kind of daily life simpler and less cluttered by having these different devices that you use in different situations. I do a lot of reading. I like to read about many different diverse subjects: science, art, history. Technological history is very interesting to me. I brought up one of those examples in the presentation of the stone axe and the concepts of beauty and how it's cross-cultural. So I think I'm mostly a reader, but of course I do go to shows and museums, and I meet a lot of designers, and they turn me on to a lot of stuff, and on Pinterest and all these kind of things. So there's a lot of inputs. It's just a question of having the eyes and the kind of antenna to absorb it, because everybody has the same access. To be honest with you, I'm not out on KickStarter browsing around, and I'm not even out on the blogosphere reading about technology on the blogs very often. I get a lot of that pushed to me by my colleagues in the company, and there's this limited amount of time, and it also clutters the mind so you don't focus on what we're supposed to be doing. Of course, there's a little antenna out there, reading about that stuff, but it's a bit of just a lot of noise for me, actually. KickStarter is a great thing because it's There's a lot of tools that we have that have democratized the creative process. The actual creation and conceptualization of design is now democratized. The making of prototypes is democratized through 3D printing and so on. But the manufacture of products is not democratized yet. And that's what KickStarter is filling that gap. It's creating the ability to get capital in order to go into manufacturing and ramp it up to volumes and quality that is acceptable in the mass market. And I think that many of the KickStarter projects, they're seeing that it's not as easy as it sounds. It's really, really hard to make millions and millions of high technology products and have the quality levels that you need to make people happy, to meet those requirements. It's really, really tough. It's mostly low-tech stuff that's going to be super successful in that environment. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see, ubiquitous computing, meaning that we'll see mobile communication functionality or connectivity built into many different things around us. The first thing that really needs to happen is all of our automobiles need to have mobile connectivity. And I think, for example, we'll see the automobile as like a Wi-Fi point, because you have the opportunity to have a really powerful antenna, you have a lot of battery power in your car, so you can see it as a connection point. And there's a huge amount of safety and logistical environmental advantages to having mobile communication in your car. So I believe that'll probably be the most impactful Internet of Things, is the automobile. But then we'll also be seeing the smart home come to realization actually through open ecosystems. Because right now smart homes are closed ecosystems, which are extremely expensive and only available for people that are well off or building new homes. But we'll see the ability to integrate smart homes into home alarm systems, which is happening today, and we'll see more and more of that. So I think we'll see the Internet of Things happening in the home, and we'll be automating the home. Right now you buy a small electronic device like a digital camera, right? It has tons of little buttons all on it, and it takes you ages, if at all, you learn how to use it, all right? But you can pick up an Android application and learn how to use it in 5 minutes, because there's some sort of standardization, a standard approach. And so why do we have this complex, digital camera with all these buttons I don't know what they do, and I have an open OS where I can run it off an app? So I think, using that as an example, there are many complex electronic devices around us that we can more easily control via an open OS like an Android application. And then you can simplify that device considerably. All right, and then so you can use the control of the Android device, but then also you can build the connectivity into that device itself. So it's just a question of how many things do you want to put connectivity into and how much connectivity you want to have. That's what we're going to see happening. It's not going to be a bright new future. I think it's going to be more like, when our kids today don't even get the concept of a phone that's glued to the, screwed to the wall. They don't understand the concept of why you would have to sit around to a fixed spot to get a phone call. It'll be the same kind of thing as why do you have to, get up and turn the lights on and off? Why do you have to control all these, control your heat and your refrigeration and your home in one interface and your lights in another interface? It can all be on one interface.